Alright, we are back with another painting video, and today we are painting the unit champion of the Neurogaunts. He doesn't actually have a different profile or anything, he's just the big brain bug that is different than all the rest of the squad. And the paint scheme for this guy is going to be the same as the Termagant that I painted in the last video. So if you just want to, if you're just here for the colors, then it's the same thing, basically, obviously with the addition of this brain in the middle that the Termagant didn't have. But mainly, I'm just going to talk through how I go about painting tyrannids and where I put the different colors and stuff like that. So I will get all my colors together, and I will come back, and we'll start on the paint job. Alright, so let us begin. We're going to start with Mortarian Grime. And just like the Termagant, like I said, this is going to be for all of the skin on this guy. And while I'm not trying to paint my tyrannids in a actual official GW High Fleet, this one sort of does look like Leviathan. Leviathan is a bit pinker on the skin, and their purple is a bit darker. But this probably, if it was going to be one of them, would be closest to that. In any event, though, I like to use a pretty desaturated neutral color for the main body of the tyrannids, and then highlight, or yeah, I guess highlight the other features of them with bright colors. And so that's why I chose Mortarian Grime. It lays down super smoothly, doesn't give us a lot of the tide marks that contrast paint can give, and that is because it is a shade, not a contrast. But it still has quite a bit of pigment in it, so that you still get a good coverage on your model. So I'm going to go straight into the next color now, and this is going to be my first big pop color, and that's Luxion Purple. And like I said, it is the same color as the Leviathan armor color, purple, but theirs is more of a, well, I suppose, Leviathan purple, which is a darker contrast paint. Or maybe Leviathan blue is the contrast paint. In any event, the purple on Leviathan models is much darker than the purple we're using here. I chose to do the Mortarian Grime and purple combo. One, because I just like purple, but also I wanted to try to find a complementary color to the purple. And Mortarian Grime sort of leans towards yellow. It's kind of a tannish, greenish yellow. And so I think they look pretty good together. Thank you, Color Wheel. And then also a lot of other colors look good with purple. So blue is going to be one of my pop colors on these guys. They're not, the blue is not present on the Termagants, but on the Neurogaunts and the Barbgaunts, and possibly some of the bigger creatures, although I haven't really looked at them yet, there will be some blue. And then you can really kind of add any color. Red can look good with purple. Like I said, blue already can look good with purple. Orange can look good with purple, and we'll have a little bit of orange on him. And then, of course, just the straight complementary color of yellow can always look good with purple. So you just have a lot of directions you can go with adding color to your miniatures. So that's why I went with purple. But in any event, I'm going to finish up the purple. I think this is the last bit I need to do here. Oh no, I have to do the tail armor. So I'm going to finish up the purple. I don't need to let it dry because the next color is not going to be touching this, but I will come back and we'll do the next color. Alright, so the purple is all done. We're going to move on to the next color now. We're going to use Frostheart for this. And this is going to be for that ridge of armor on the top of the brain here. Looking at it, it looks like maybe this is like another creature that's latched itself onto the Neurogaunt. Just because it looks kind of like these are little legs sticking out from under this shell. So I'm not really sure. I haven't read up on what the story behind these Neurogaunts is, but I figured it would be a good opportunity to give us a nice pop of color in the army. And so when you're doing this kind of thing, adding a spot color or a pop color, whatever you want to call it, to an army, the thing I like to keep in mind is that you want to be able to see that color from multiple angles of the miniature. And so what I mean is, say, for instance, it doesn't work for this model because you can see it from every angle because it's right on top. But for instance, say that, say that this blue was only visible on this side. Then when you turned this model around, you wouldn't be able to see any of the blue. Well, you obviously can now. And so for me, it just makes the paint scheme feel a little bit more disjointed, just like there's random colors plopped around. And so for me, I like to be able to turn the model and see those pop colors from any direction. And on this kind of sculpt, it obviously makes it easy. But now we're going to move on to the next color, which is going to be Magma Droth Flame. I thought that this color looked really good with the Frost Heart that we just used. And so I decided, since we have this brain here, why not use it on that? We are going to come back and highlight this brain with some layer paint and then put a second layer of contrast on it. But for now, I'm just going to add the orange. And this little, what could be a creature under here, we're going to come back and paint that a different color as well. I see some of my blue is trying to leak out here. Just soak that up real quick. And then put some more orange down. There we go. And we'll get the other side. So when you're coming up with a paint scheme for Tyranids, like I was doing, I tend to find, like I said, you want to pick a neutral color and then a strong color, and then just kind of go from there. And if you're stuck on where to go from there, I would honestly look at the paint schemes that GW has on their website, and just kind of see what color combinations they use. Are they using greens with yellows, or blues and reds, or browns and creams, or whatever? And just kind of look at the color combinations they use. And then if you still don't want your miniatures to look exactly like them, then maybe change it up. So, like, for instance, Leviathan skin is very sort of fleshy pink colored, almost Caucasian skin tone. And then they have purple armor. Maybe for you, though, you don't want to be Leviathan, but you think that color combination looks good. Maybe you do the Caucasian skin tone or pink on the armor and put the purple on the skin or something like that. And you can just use the GW official schemes to help you get your paint job, even if you're not exactly painting that scheme. But now I am going to let the rest of this dry. Then we're going to come back and do some highlights on the skin. All right, we are back. We're going to move on to Fire Slayer Flesh now. And this is sort of a reddish brown. And so I decided to use this because I thought, one, it would contrast against the skin well, but also because we have purple and blue already on the miniature, a sort of reddish color would look good with these guys. And even if we don't have the blue, like in the case of the Termagants, just with the purple and contrasting against the skin will look quite good on its own. So I'm just going to get all the, basically all the squishy bits with this color. Grab this back here. It can sometimes be hard to tell what, what's armor, what's skin, what's exoskeleton, what's blah blah blah. So many different things on a Tyranid. And I've found that it really doesn't matter. Just kind of paint bits. Other than the armor, you really have to get the armor all the color you want it. But other than that, you just kind of pick out some bits, put your colors on there, and it'll all kind of just meld together and work out fine. So then the last thing I'm going to get this color on is these little, I'm not sure what they are, ears, sensors, who knows what they are, but I'm just going to put some of this around those. And that will be that. So now we're going to move on to our first non-contrast color. and that's going to be black pudding from the D&D prismatic paint line. Just going to get a little bit of this out on a palette. And this is going to be for all the claws and fangs and stuff on these guys. Also going to do these hoof-like things in this color. So I'll do that, and then we'll come back and do the next color. Alrighty, we're back, and we're basically ready to do some finishing touches. So we're going to start off with Fairy Dragon Wings, another one of these D&D prismatic colors. And I'm going to take a very thin brush. It doesn't have to be this thin. I'm using a 000 for this, just so I can get my lines really small. But you can, any brush with a thin point will do just fine. And I'm just going to come to the edge of these armor panels here and just draw some lines like that. I'm trying to vary the thickness, or not the thickness, the length rather, of the lines. So I'll do some long, some short. And it's really up to you where you do these. I'm just doing them on the edges here. But you could do them, all along these edges as well if you wanted, or really whatever. And I'm going to come to his head here and do the same thing. Go along like that. This one up here, I think I'll do the bottom. And then the knee pad, I'll do the side, and then here. And so these are a common thing that you see on a lot of Tyranid paint jobs, both GW official ones and other people's. And they're pretty simple, to be honest, and they add a good amount of texture and stuff to your paint job. But you can also skip them. Pretty much where we were before this step, you could have just stopped and put a base on your miniature and pretty much call them done. For battle ready, you'd be all set. But for those of you who want to go just a little bit farther, this is a great thing to do. Doesn't require a lot of skill. You're just drawing little lines, and while up close, they might look pretty rough. When you get farther away and you get a whole bunch of Tyranids next to each other, they'll all just kind of blend together, and no one's going to be looking at individual lines on your Tyranids. Just trying to remember which side I did it on. The other knee, so I can do it on this knee the same way. There we go. And then I'll just grab the other side of the head here and go down all these armor panels. And then this one. And then we're going to do the same thing with our blue. So for this, I'm going to use Sea Hag blue. But for this sort of thing, any color will work. Just you want a lighter color than your armor color. Or you want a darker color. You basically just want something that's going to contrast. You also don't have to use the same color like I am. For instance, you could do white hashes on this armor. You could do black. You could do brown. You could do all sorts of things. You could do like blue or green, or you can really go nuts with it. I'm just doing the same color so that I know it will jive with the paint scheme. I didn't say it in this video, but I did in the Neurogaunts video. This Leviathan box set was given to my local game store to be the display copy for release day. I'm actually going to add just a couple more of these right up here for release day, so we could have a painted copy when people come in to buy their boxes. And so I was not given this box by Games Workshop or anything like that. This was just a project for my local game store. So then, the only thing we have left to do is I'm going to take some Banshee White. And I am going to all these little brain sections here, I'm just going to come in and highlight the tops of them with this white. And then once that's all dry, I'm going to put some yellow contrast paint over the top of it, just to make it pop out a little bit more. The yellow will contrast with the purple nicely, it'll contrast with the blue nicely, and it'll come out looking pretty good. But that will basically do it for this video. A much quicker paint scheme or paint job than the Termagant, perhaps, because I'm mostly just going through it pretty quickly since it's the same color scheme. But hopefully it helped you learning about how to select a color scheme or some inspiration for how to paint your own tyrannids. Right about now, you should be seeing some pictures of him on a base, and I'll put him with all his other Neurogaunt friends. And if you like this kind of video, please feel free to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you on the next one.